guys, Raw Wrestler here, and this is my WWE Survivor Series 2015 review. And this pay-per-view was disappointing. To say the least, it was disappointing. I was very unentertained at times. There were a few matches that were very boring, and a lot of the show was rushed. And that is basically what I'm going to be labelling the show with. Rushed. Matches that you thought should have got time, didn't. And there was no match on this card over 20 minutes. The longest matches were 18, and they were the 5-on-5 matches, and there was 2 of them. And another thing, of course, wrong with this pay-per-view was the fact that barely any of the card was done until the last day. We didn't know who was in the 5-on-5 Survivor Series matches, which I do apologise for not predicting. So, before I get into actually talking about the event, I do want to just mention a few things. I bought Star Wars Battlefront on Friday. I played it Friday night and a bit of Saturday. But since late Saturday night, I've been addicted to the television series Chuck. Now, if you don't know what Chuck is an action comedy spy series about... Well, I'm not going to tell you what it's about, but I'm so entertained. I'm addicted. I don't think I've had this much fun watching a series ever. And that's because I can continuously watch it. Basically, I haven't played Battlefront since Saturday. Well, no, I did play it a bit today, but I played it while I was watching Chuck. So, I came home from college today, and I put Chuck on, and I've been watching Chuck till this time, which is like 12 o'clock. Yesterday, when I got up, on Sunday, I got up at 10 o'clock and watched Chuck from 10 till something like 1. I'm so addicted to this series. I'm on the third series, I think episode 4. It is incredible. I love the cast. Zachary Levi is awesome as Chuck. I love Yvonne Strahovski. Forgetting the fact that she's hot and she voiced Miranda in Mass Effect. I did know that, so I can see people like, hey, she voiced Miranda in Mass Effect, that's why you're going on about Chuck. No. Chuck is great, but I did watch the series because I did know that she was in Chuck. I knew that she was in it because I'd heard it and I'd watched interviews with her where she talks about Chuck and Mass Effect. But I'm not watching the series necessarily for Yvonne Strahovski. She's a beautiful woman and she's a good actress and she's great in the show. So I'm watching it. I'm watching Chuck because I enjoy it. Let me clear the air. I love Adam Baldwin. I think he's probably my favourite character in it as the Detective Casey. I'm not going to spoil any of it for you, but it's a great series and I'm absolutely loving it. I love it. I'm not going to say it's my favourite series of all time, but I'm so addicted. I've never been this addicted to a television series. Not even Walking Dead or Arrow or Flash or anything currently has got me this addicted. And that's probably because Chuck, I can just watch episode after episode. Because what I'm doing essentially is I'm on the internet and I'm just watching episode after episode after episode. So I've watched 13, 22, I've watched like 40 episodes so far, and there's 91, so I'm getting there. But I love it. I love Chuck so much. So yeah, Battlefront. Let me just quickly go over that. Battlefront it's good, but it's exactly what I thought. To be honest, it's pretty much the same as the beta. There's a few modes that are decent. There's a few modes that aren't. I'll go over it a little bit more in another video because I should really be focusing on Survivor Series, which again, it just goes to show what a pay-per-view Survivor Series was. Survivor Series 2015. The pre-show had a 5-on-5 Survivor Series matches. A 5-on-5 Survivor Series match. The teams were Miz, Bo Dallas, Stardust, and The Ascension, so Victor and Connor, against Neville, Bubba Ray Dudley, Devon Dudley, Titus O'Neil, and the returning Goldust. Goldust's return was cool. I liked that. But apart from that, I was bored in this match. I was watching Chuck at the same time as this match last night, and I was bored, frankly. I just wasn't entertained. I gave it 2 stars because they didn't do anything wrong, but it was just boring. And the faces won, and they only had 1 man eliminated, and that was Neville. And I can't believe that Neville was the only man eliminated from that team. It just didn't make sense to me. But hey, I mean, I'll just put up with it. 2 stars though. It was boring to me, but I was also watching something. So the pay-per-view starts, and we start with Reigns versus Del Rio, the semi-final in the WWE World Heavyweight Championship Tournament. This was good. I think it was too predictable that Reigns was going to win, but it was good. They did kind of try to push Del Rio and maybe suggest that he was going to win, especially off a backstabber. He hit a backstabber and got a very close count on Reigns. Reigns just kicked out at the last second. That was good. The super kick hit on Reigns was good. I liked that. And in the end, Roman Reigns hits Del Rio with a Superman punch and a spear after ducking something off the top rope. 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns advances to the main event. It was a good match. I gave it 3 stars. Predictable, but I predicted the faces in the first match, so I'm 2 and none so far. We move on to the second match on the actual card, and it's Owens versus Ambrose, the other semi-final. This was the best match of the night. I think that Owens and Ambrose delivered a good performance. It wasn't as good as it could have been. I mean, the full potential Owens and Ambrose could be great, but this was still a very good match. It was the match of the night, and in the end, Dean Ambrose wins after reversing not 1 but 2 power bombs. So he actually reversed 1, then reversed another, and reversed the second one into Hurricane Rana. So different style of offense from Dean Ambrose. Hurricane Rana, Dirty Deeds, 1, 2, 3. Dean Ambrose advances to the main event. So we now have Reigns and Ambrose in the main event. I predicted Kevin Owens. I went for the route that I think was more interesting. So I'm wrong there. But a very good match, 3.25 stars. It was the match of the night, and it is disappointing to think that that was the match of the night. Although it was good, I expected more quality from this show. I really had a lot of quality for this show. I think that Reigns and Del Rio could have been great. Ambrose and Owens could have been great. The main event could have been great, regardless of who was in it. The Divas title match could have been great. Breeze and Ziggler could have been great, but these matches were all rushed, and Owens and Ambrose were, again, a victim of that. The match was at 11 minutes. It could have been so much longer. He could have given them 15, like Del Rio and Reigns, who got about 14. So after that, we had the second 5-on-5 Survivor Series matchup, which was the Lucha Dragons, the Usos, and Ryback. No Cesaro, who is apparently injured and will be out for 4 to 6 months. There's another injury on the WWE's list that goes along with Rusev, Randy Orton, and Seth Rollins. Sorry, I was checking. That's terrible news. That is terrible news for the WWE. They've also got Sting out. Lesnar's not there at the moment. Cena is away. So WWE really need to push main event talent, and we'll find out what happens by the end of the night in regards to that, and I'll have a lot to say on that. But this is just a 5-on-5 match. I was bored, to be honest. Watching it this morning, I was very bored. I just wanted it to end. This was the longest match on the night, and even though there were a few quick eliminations, I haven't taken down the elimination order or anything. I wasn't entertained enough. In the end, the 3 survivors were Jey Uso, Kalisto, and Ryback, and they last pinned Sheamus, who put a bit of fight in. I would have liked to see more, maybe eliminate 1 or 2 of them, but in the end, it took, I believe, a super kick and then a shell shock. Sheamus is pinned by Ryback, Jey Uso, and Kalisto were the 3 survivors. 2.5 stars. I predicted the faces again, so that's 3-1 on predictions. Divas title, and my issue with this matchup was it wasn't as ruthless as it should have been. Paige and Charlotte should have gone much further with this. They established the angle, the Reed Flair thing, which I didn't agree with, but they'd established it. They didn't use it in the promo package before the match, which I think means that they basically cut it. So I understand on that account, but they've already gone with it, so I think they should have just gone through with it and had a really intense, emotional matchup. And while they had a good matchup, they did. It was a decent matchup. It's not the best match I've ever seen. I believe I said this would be the best main roster Divas match ever, and it's not. I think the Nikki Bella matches were better. They were good matches, the Nikki Bella ones, by the way. And the big thing about this Charlotte versus Paige match was the botched spot. So Paige stands on the barricade. Charlotte gets up there as well. Charlotte spears off the barricade, but because nobody had any balance, it didn't look like a spear. It looked like Paige had just given her a face buster. It looked wrong. Charlotte puts her back in the ring. Figure 8, Paige taps out, even though she's incredibly close to the ropes and could just reach, you know. I gave it 2 3/4 stars though. It was decent, but that botched spot really kind of killed it near the end. What the? Oh. Tyler Breeze versus Dolph. Again, that was one of the longer matches, the Divas match, which is fine. I like it having time, but if that match is getting time, then the men's match needs to get time as well. Moving on, speaking of time and being rushed, Tyler Breeze versus Dolph Ziggler. This match was 6 minutes long and predictable. There was nothing on the line. These two could have a great match. They really could have a great match. I could see this being amazing. And I love the fact that Dolph Ziggler sort of steals the switchy music now, because I think Dolph Ziggler is basically the next Shawn Michaels, and Tyler Breeze is the next Dolph Ziggler, so it's a nice evolution. But in the end, Tyler Breeze does win, not with the beauty shot, but with the Unprettier, so Christian's kill switch. That's an interesting finisher. I've always thought it was a cool finisher, and the Unprettier is a cool name to have for Tyler Breeze and his gimmick. Makes total sense. I gave the match 2 1/4 stars. It entertained me more than some of the previous matches, but not too great. It's okay, but I wanted more out of these guys, and it's not their fault. It's the WWE's fault. They could have had a great match. They just WWE aren't giving them the time. The penultimate match was the Brothers of Destruction, versus the Wyatt family. And Bray, of course, had to pick 2 members of his faction to go up against Taker and Kane. Taker got a big pop, Kane got nothing, obviously. And what struck me about this is that the Wyatt family looked like absolute chumps. They looked like idiots. They didn't look like they were in Taker's league, and they really should have. Rowan runs into the match before the match has even started and gets chokeslammed, and that's it. Rowan's done for the rest of the match. That's it. So Bray Wyatt has to pick 2 people to go in the match, so he picks himself and he picks Luke Harper. I think that was very smart. I think Strowman is a bit green. I wouldn't have had Strowman in there with Taker because he could injure Taker, and I don't want that. So I think Harper and Wyatt was a good choice. The matchup was what you'd expect. It was very one-sided in terms of Taker and Kane. Did a lot of domination. They took out the Wyatt family. They chokeslammed Strowman through the announce table. They took Rowan out at the beginning. They chokeslammed Strowman through the table, which was really all Strowman did, even though Strowman did actually throw Kane over one of the announce tables. And the ending came when Undertaker delivered a tombstone piledriver to Bray, Luke Harper, 1, 2, 3, Undertaker and Kane win. I gave it 2 1/4 stars, 2 1/2 stars actually. If it's a send-off, then fine, but I wasn't particularly entertained, and it's not nice to see the Wyatt family look like absolute chumps, but what am I going to do? Main event, WWE World Heavyweight, so 2 1/2 stars for the Brothers of Destruction match. And thank you, Taker. If that is your last match, then thank you. You're a legend, and there'll never be anyone like Undertaker again. Sorry, my throat's dry as hell. Main event, WWE World Heavyweight Championship Tournament final. Dean Ambrose versus Roman Reigns. This was very quick out of the gate, which it needed to be, and there was a lot of blows. It was a fight. You knew this was going to be a fight because none of them in their gimmicks are very technical, even though we know Dean Ambrose is technical as Jon Moxley. But this wasn't very technical. It was very brawly. We knew we were going to get that, to be honest. So from that standpoint, it was good, and I enjoyed that. But this, again, didn't live up to the expectations I had it. This could have been so great. If they'd pushed this and given this time instead of 9 minutes. They didn't get 10 minutes. This was shorter than every match on the card but one. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. The main event should have been this 30-minute classic between Ambrose and Reigns. And it was decent. It really was decent. I liked some of the spots. I liked the quick spear from Reigns, even though it didn't look too impactful. I liked Ambrose hitting the dirty deeds. I liked how they both fought each other, and they put their brothership aside. And that made sense, because they're the Shield. They were the Shield. The ending comes when Ambrose has got Reigns in the corner and is pummeling him down, runs to the other corner to do the jump off the thing where he goes up the turnbuckle, comes back down, spear from Reigns, that's the second spear. So that's, Ambrose has to be one of the first people to kick out of the spear. Obviously Lesnar did. So he hits him with a spear, 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns is the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I predicted Ambrose after Owens lost earlier in the night. So I was wrong. I thought Ambrose might turn heel. You know, just took a shot in the dark. So Reigns wins and they shake hands and stuff. And that was, as an ending, yes, that does make sense. Not everyone was going to go happy, but I was fine with that ending. I was just like, okay, your pay-per-view wasn't great overall, but it wasn't good either, to be honest. But the ending was fine and it makes sense. And then Triple H comes out. Triple H offers the hand to Roman Reigns, and I think Roman Reigns should have taken the hand. Because that isn't him accepting the authority, that's him just saying, thank you, you've recognised me. Instead, Reigns does a kind of a heel tactic, puts the belt down, spears Triple H, taunts Triple H. Sheamus runs out, brogue kicks Roman Reigns, cashes in Money in the Bank, pins Roman Reigns, 1, 2, kick out by Reigns. And at this point, I thought Reigns might actually retain. Sorry, I'm just checking the time. I was shocked that Reigns kicked out that first brogue kick. So Sheamus is getting ready for the second brogue kick. You know, brogue goes for it. Roman Reigns ducks it, goes towards the ropes, looks like he's going for a spear. Brogue kick. 1, 2, 3. Sheamus is the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And let's just consider that, shall we? This is where my main issue with this event comes from. Sheamus, the guy who earlier in the night was making a jiggy with it joke in the 5-on-5 match. You know why I barely mentioned him? Because that match was so... The New Day, it was Ryback and the Usos and the Lucha Dragons against the New Day, Barrett and Sheamus. That match was so unimportant that I was just like, oh, Sheamus is in it and Sheamus is making a joke. And I thought, nah, Sheamus can't cash in now. And then he cashes in. And I was like, what? No, this can't happen. Sheamus being the champion is ridiculous for a few reasons. 1, he's already held the belt and he doesn't need it again. 2, this should have been Reigns or Ambrose's time. Sheamus didn't need this win, and all they've done is they've passed the belt to another heel champion, who I'm sure they're going to book weekly, because WWE can't book non-monster heels as champion. I mean, it doesn't matter what I think in the end, does it? Sheamus is the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and I'm not going to predict that Sheamus was going to win, because that was too obvious, in my opinion. Overall, my grade for Survivors, I gave the Ambrose Reigns match 2 3/4 stars. It was decent, but they could have done so much more. So much more. For what it was decent. There was some good stuff. But they could have done so much more. My final grade for Survivor Series 2015, I've got to check how many things I got right. My final grade for Survivor Series 2015 is 5 out of 10. It was average. It is probably the weakest show this year has had, because even those shows this year that weren't great, like Royal Rumble and Battleground and Fastlane and what other shows have been great? Hell in a Cell, I thought was good actually. So yeah, Fastlane and Royal Rumble and Battleground. Those shows all had great matches. They had at least one great match that I say is a standout and is one of the best matches of the year. Fastlane had the Reigns-Bryan match. The Royal Rumble had the Triple Threat match, which was one of the best matches of the year. Battleground had the Owens-Cena match. This pay-per-view had nothing. It had a very good match. It had some good matches, some very good matches, and then some ball fests. So 5 out of 10 seems fair, and my predictions were 1, 2... 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 6-2, 6-2 overall in predictions. So 8 matches on a 3-hour card, and none of them were over 20 minutes. What are you gonna do? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna go put Raw on and see what's going on, or I might watch another episode of Chuck. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Revolver Ocelot. Like, comment, and subscribe for more.